Okay, I'm gonna get started. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Shh. Can we have your attention real quick? Shh. So we're gonna get started. The founder mode, I know many of you will love the networks and everything. So this is a little bit different format. I have to lay out the ground rules right now. This is a round table. And so there will be a quick introduction. I'm Joe Pan, the curator for Game On, and this is the first time we're launching Founder Mode 2.0, the application in Asia. So the format is going to be a roundtable, facilitated roundtable discussions. We hope to learn from each other and share and maintain this community in Hong Kong. And going forward, we may have the next event at DEF CON and other things. So if you can just pay attention a little bit, I'm going to introduce our facilitator, and then you all get a chance at some point in the next 2 hours to share and learn if you want to. But at the end of the 2 hours, at 5:30 exactly, all the chairs will be removed, and this is going to turn into the reception for the Game On. So the more focused you guys are, the more you're going to learn from the facilitator, and the more you're going to share. So here's the quick format. Today, we have if those who heard what I said at the first floor, we want to roll out and take away all the talking heads, the typical talking heads. I really believe it's just a one-way communication. We want to have a two-way communication, learn from each other and learn from the best. So I brought in a delegation, international founders from Dubai, from Japan, from Thailand. Those are the people you probably never heard of them, never met them before, but this is the chance for you to learn someone. For example, Tasuku Tusk came from Japan, found his company in Japan, a service provider, made it in Japan, moved it to Thailand, eventually also expanded to Vietnam. Wouldn't you want to learn from him about that experience and how you can start something, be successful in multiple countries? Also, we have William, who's going to come up. He's talking on the panel right now, giving a talk on ethical AI right now. And that is going to be the elephant in the room. Every technology and AI is going to touch on ethics. So right now, downstairs, they're talking about the first topic ever talked about in Hong Kong, the ethics of gaming for targeting children using AI. So that's downstairs happening. Tomorrow, you're going to see it on the news. Okay, by the way, I'm a journalist. I'm the editor at blockwin.news. You can check it out. I focus a lot on Asia and especially in Hong Kong. So a lot of you, I'm going to also record it. If there's some good quotes, I'm going to use it in the article and coverage. And then second, we also have another very first female CTO here in Hong Kong, focus in AI company. Yeah, there you go. She made that happen. Sophia Zhang. So here's an example of if you are a female founder. You don't have to be gender specific, but here's someone who went from a CTO working for AI company and then founded her own venture, now a deploy and matching. So if you're looking for funding or you are looking to fund projects, this is your opportunity to kind of learn from her how she built from it and then facilitate this. And then we also have Henrique. You can look him up, but very accomplished and analyst. Many of you have probably trying to engage and talk to analysts and be covered by an analyst. Well, learn from him. He has covered many, many startups and ventures and invested. Now, not only he exited HashKey, he has his own fund. So here's from an investor point of view. Learn, and he's going to point out and bring in something. Of course, we also have Jeff. Jeff is also a content creator and guru. Learn from him. He can share some of the things how build your reputation, build your social media presence. So I know originally I envisioned this only about 20, 50 people that is going to be a moderate. Everyone would get a chance to talk, but now it's going to be, we actually have about 200 people sign up. Half of you show up, typical Web3 flakes, and about half of them will show up, and then you will have 100. Still, there is not 1 minute per person. It's not going to have 100 minutes. So for those who want to speak, keep your introduction short, one-liner. You can show all you want after this. You're going to have all night in your mixer, okay? So, but one-liner introduction, what you do, so they're going to be asking a lot of questions. And of course, we also have Munir from Dubai, and he runs also a great network and matching and also headhunting. And so talking about scaling and hiring and everything. So I'll leave this to, with Henry, and maybe you can just walk us through what the format will be. There's some keywords, not a lot of presentation. It's really just about sharing in different sections, and then we're going to move on to the next topic, the keywords and everything. So thank you for your attention. Let's get started.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joe. I think we can get started. We can take a seat. Should I sit there? Here. Maybe I'll sit here. This side.
So what's the?
Oh, let's follow the.
So the first topic.
Oh, let's follow the pictures.
Yeah. So Playbook. Maybe you can start. So does any people do not know founder mode, where the term came from? Okay. So a little bit background about 2 months ago, Airbnb founder out of Silicon Valley wrote and gave a speech in one of the conference, and someone else wrote a blog about his speech, and it became a sensation. The word founder mode, even though we know, in explaining detail, is just basically your journey and lesson learned as a founder. But it became a sensation online. Everyone talked about what the founder mode. But however, that founder mode he described, from micromanaging, from detail, from firing, hiring people, everything is a very Silicon-centric view. So today, we're going to have an Asia kind of point of view. So that's where founder mode is. Founder mode 2.0. So in case you don't know what you sign up for, founder mode 2.0, that's the history.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. So like Joe was saying, a couple of months ago, the Airbnb founder gave this speech at Y Combinator talking about the founder mode. And then after that, Andrew Graham, one of the Y Combinator founders, wrote this blog post. I would like to invite you all to Google search Paul Graham, not Andrew Graham, Paul Graham, founder mode. It's an amazing blog post talking about the founder mode. But basically what happened is that Airbnb, over the last few years, has been getting a bit more inflated. They grow a lot, the team. And the founders and the CEO didn't know very well what's going on inside Airbnb. It became a very large company. So a year ago, he decided to try to understand, instead of being just a capital allocator and just being a manager, he decided to go back to being a founder and understanding exactly what was happening inside the company across all the different departments. He fired a bunch of people, got a better grip of what was happening inside Airbnb. And if you look at the Airbnb stock over the last 1 year, it has been reflecting on how the stock has been evolving. So that's what we are going to be talking today. We are going to be talking about the founder mode versus the manager mode. And let's start maybe with some quick introduction. Maybe you can start with Munir. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Sure. First of all, I'm very happy to be here today. So my name is Munir Brahmani. I'm originally French with Moroccan backgrounds. I'm the CEO and founder of Signature Network. I'm based in Dubai since 7 years. So in a nutshell, we are a matchmaking platform. So we connect startups with investors, job seekers with recruiters worldwide. And by the way, we were the one who organized Game On Dubai last month in September. And it was pretty much successful. And would be very glad to share with you some entrepreneurs' insights. Thank you.
Awesome. Sophia?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sophia. I'm founder and CTO of Deploy. We are building an expert network that sources and evaluates venture deals for investors. We mainly operate in Asia, and I would say that I'm pretty early on in the journey compared to a lot of people, amazing people in this room. I'm looking forward to learning from you, as well as sharing some of my experiences building in Hong Kong, maybe even as a female founder.
Tasuku?
Hi, my name is Tusk. I'm a founder and CEO of Craftsonic Ltd. I'm originally from Japan, but we ventured out to Dubai. I just have the company there. Also, like I finished the exhibition at the GITEX Global. So we are focusing on the Web3 product development, and we have the platform called Deezer, where users can create their membership NFT freely, and then token-gated content. Only the members can accessible to the media contents like music and art and so on. So just also my quick background is I initially started my professional career as the professional musicians, and then venturing out to the consultant, and then now I'm a founder of both Web3 and an AI company. So I'm more than happy to share more journeys along the way.
So just real quick pointing out, there are some chairs over here. I mean, there are more people coming. So believe me, about half of the people coming in, we're going to have pack the room. And also do stay. We're going to have drinks and also some pizza and snacks afterwards. So logistics, the men's room is on the left, and then ladies is on the right. And this is the Mantra office is generously letting us to use the room. So be careful and not to destroy anything and break anything. And other than that, so have fun. And this is also live stream right now, because we actually have students around the world watching and want to learn from you guys. So carry on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. I think we are going to, in this session, we are going to talk about the founder mode from different perspectives, from the perspective of...
So, I'm sorry to interrupt. So we actually also have a couple speakers, including the founder, co-founder and founder and COO of Sandbox and Animokas, and Sebastian is here, and there will be other speakers who will be visiting us from downstairs and up here. So at any time, once we recognize it, we're going to grab him. So Sebastian is about to have to run for the next events. Is he here? Yeah.
He's around.
Okay, he's in the back. Okay, as soon as he come out, let's grab him and then have him to share. Maybe let's start with whatever the topics will be, because we want to hear from him.
Yeah, so we will be talking about the founder mode from different perspectives, from hiring perspective, managing your staff, the fundraising perspective, the dealing with the customers and everything, because it's very different between being a founder mode or manager mode, right? Maybe I'll start with a bit from Sophia. You are a founder and a CTO. Can you tell us your perspective between the differences between founder modes and manager mode from your perspective as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think part of being in this journey, you have to realize that you have to wear many hats. Even though you have a specific title or a specific role that's assigned to you, you realize that, there are only that many people working on this project with you. You have to divide and conquer. And so what ends up happening is that even though, yes, I am in charge of all the technology, but then I also have to hire my own team, manage my own team, and figure out, how do I project manage the whole thing? How do I talk to customers, come to these events? There are a lot of things that a founder has to put on their shoulders at any time. So I think what has been beneficial in Hong Kong is that such a small city, we're able to cross paths really easily and build community through that, quite easily, I guess, compared to other places. And with being a CTO, I also have to be at the forefront of fundraising and talking about our product, what our vision is, and realizing that you can do so much more than what your role dictates. And I guess it's also building the resilience of what you are able to handle throughout the process.
Yeah. On Paul Graham's post, he talks about that many times the advice of VCs to startups is just hire great people and let them do the job. And he says that that's wrong. You should actually, of course, hire great people, but closely manage them very closely. Like, for you as a founder, do you kind of feel that it's better to manage people very closely or just let them do the job hands off?
I think it really depends on the stage of the company as well. I think with a small startup like ours, we've had to really work within constrained resources. And it's not like, you have a massive VC investment and so I can just hire whoever I want. It really is about resources management at the end of the day. How are you leveraging what you have to build the best possible outcome? Sometimes I have to remind myself, as long as it's good enough, it doesn't have to be the best solution out there. And so I think it's that toggle between, okay, managing what resources you have, which is limited, and not just saying the old Silicon Valley way of, oh, let me just hire someone to do this, because I think Asia also has like a massive resource constraint in terms of the type of technical talent you're able to attract, the pricing of hiring a developer, having people on hand in the office. So a lot of these considerations also have to come to play.
Yeah, exactly. And Munir and Tasuk, you both work with startups, and startups end up many times delegating some work to both of your businesses, right? Can you maybe both talk a little bit on how you deal with these startups, and how do you help them like accomplishing their objectives while they are delegating their tasks to you?
Okay, so maybe check. Is microphone on? Check. Is my audible? Yeah. So we run the team globally, also remotely most of the time. So it's been a great success, also challenging as well. So especially like when it comes to the delegating the work in the remote, sessions, and also like in when the people onboarding in the beginning, I was having a little bit of a difficulties to really see the work and also manage the quality, also the align the speed and delivery time and so on. So what we have really like worked on is like we kind of like had a little bit of like a boot camp, locating in some like one physical locations. So last year like we had a boot camp in the Bali. We rented out like one house, and then we gathered all of not all, but some of the core team members. That was exactly the middle point. And then we kind of like a co-lived and co-worked together. So after that, we again, distributed to each of where we live. So after that sessions, a lot of things, got easier. Like we got to know each other and their type, characters, and how they think in terms of the details, also the optimistic mindset and so on. So I think that gathering, having a physical gathering, it really helps.
Yeah, that's actually something that Steve Jobs used to do a lot, right? Steve Jobs, every year, he would gather the 100 most productive people at Apple, not the 100 top management, but the top 100 productive people. That didn't matter if they were top management or a junior developer, right?
Achievers, right?
Yeah, and they will go for a retreat and understand what they are doing across the company, and Steve Jobs will understand very well what the entire company is doing.
Right.
And one more funny story about Steve Jobs and the founder mode was that Steve Jobs sometimes, like junior developer, goes for lunch, he will come back, and Steve Jobs will be waiting for him at his desk to ask him for a specific detail about the product, right? This is really, truly founder mode, right? Most CEOs don't talk with junior developers, right? But if you are founder mode, if you really want to understand what's happening, and you have examples from Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, they really don't have any problems in talking directly with like junior developers, right?
If I can add, if I can get back to the previous point, your previous question against how do you manage your team. As far as I'm concerned, we have a team of like 12 people, but just to go straight to the point, we are totally against micromanagement. I hate micromanagement. By the way, that was one of the reasons I resigned from my previous company to open my own venture, because I believe in talent. So the way we deal with our team is we give them a specific task, but we give it good incentives, So we give a good bonus. We give a certain deadline. So we give, for example, for a project, our team a deadline of 7 days to achieve a task. And if this task is achieved on time, we don't constantly, if they need help, we can provide 1 to 2 weeks training. But if they ever struggle, we're very open to that. So come to us, come to me, come to our team members, and let's discuss about what is the actual problem, and we'll solve it together, rather than putting pressure I think pressure is counterproductive, and you can see it by the results. However, versus when you give a bonus or when you incentivize your employees, you get a greater result, and also it helps for their mental health, their motivation, and they stay longer. So we get a pretty good retention rate when we operate this way. That's first.
Well, that's
Yeah, so sorry, I'm gonna ask, so right now, I think it will be good to have a little bit, stay on this topic about recruitment, about incentive, about teamwork, motivation. Let's go around the room, quick fire answers and questions, Q&As. What's your best idea in motivation? What's your best idea from team building? And then we probably ask like, what's your best hire and what's your worst hire? Something like that. So I will roam around the mic and then you guys two share one.
Sure.
You can share one and then so ask what's your question? I'll go get the answer.
So basically, we have to ask a question.
Well, I think
pose
before-
pose a question.
I think before, I guess everyone can hear me. Before we start asking specific questions, I would love to know who's a founder here, who's an investor here, who's a
Good.
startup, I don't know, mentor
Yeah.
or.
Who's the founder? Who
Yeah,
founded
who's
the
the
company? Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Who's investors?
okay.
Investors, private investors.
Yep, we
Two.
got a couple right here.
Yeah.
Builders in general.
Yeah, that is
that's-
founder.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that gives
Okay.
us a little bit of a clear idea of what the demographic looks like.
So I'm gonna give the mic to Jeff in the back. So when you're ready to ask questions.
Do I have for them? Yeah. It's gonna come. Don't worry. It's gonna come.
Okay, so let's get 5 founders to share a little bit. What is the most challenging hire that you've made, and what did you do to overcome it? In a few sentences. Anyone?
Okay. Please.
We've had problems getting electrical engineers in Hong Kong, so we have gone out and outsourced with other startups to do the work. We're a solar electric shuttle service. We are converting tricycles and tuk-tuks to electric and using solar and electric to do it, getting rid of gas engines.
Let's have a few more. Oh.
I have a question. Do you hire internally or do you use an external HR agency?
We use external people to, we're out at Science Park, and the people that we've got are other Science Park startups that are in the same type of business, so we've carved off that piece of business and given it to them.
Okay.
So then they've got revenue, and we've got things happening.
Okay, right. Thank you. I'm going to ask the same question to the audience. Who hires staff internally? Can you raise your hand? Okay. Versus who hires an external company to do the hiring for them? Yeah. And like, do you have a preference for external, like outsourcing the recruitment, or do you prefer? Please, microphone. Because I mean, the main topic is about hiring. So hiring is the key decision, one of the most important decisions, which can either jeopardize your business or can make it more successful.
And
Go
I
ahead.
agree wholeheartedly with what you said. So what we found is if it's within my core business, so I'm a founder investor, so I have moved from founder to now looking to help other people do their dreams. So when I was a founder, I would hire people within my skill set. But if I didn't have the skill set to qualify the individual, I went through that phase of trying to find HR teams, finding someone to do it. And I'm going to be frankly honest with you, there are a lot of recruitment companies out there that aren't worth the money that they ask for. And so I have found that I have built personal relationships with recruiters I like and I know, and I haven't had to turn out a candidate since I did that. So I have found building my relationships in new areas with new people as well is so we'll be talking later, is important, and building that relationship with your recruiter is more important than finding a recruiter.
Okay, well, cool. Well, I don't want to really like promote our services, but it's key to have, as far as our concern, we always give a warranty of replacement to our client in case a candidate doesn't exceed successfully his trial period. So, because it happens, well, that would, but sometimes it does happen when there is a bad hiring for X or Y reasons. So we have to make sure we back up our clients and we don't let him down, in providing them additional sources. That is key.
I think you have touched a very interesting point, which is you hire people with a similar skill set as you, right? Because for you as a founder, it makes much more sense to hire people to do work that you already do and you know how to do, so that you can tell them how to do that work and and tell them your vision, right? Because I think many founders hire people to do roles that they don't want to do or they don't like to do.
Or tasks that they
Or
would not
tasks.
don't
Yeah,
want to do,
and then, but if you don't like to do that task and you don't know how to do that task, how can you tell your staff how to do that task? So first, maybe learn very well how to do that task. If you are a developer, develop very well, or UX, UI, whatever, do it very well, and then you hire someone to do that job, right?
Well, I think as we are all startups, right? One of the main challenges, I don't know if you, please feel free to disagree if you don't agree with that, but one of the main challenges as a startup when it comes to hiring is to find talents who have this entrepreneurial mindset. Usually people who have been working in corporate banks, like big organization or old organization, 8 to 5 or 9 to 6, they are struggling with overachieving, staying a little bit late, and you have to really educate them, especially the Gen Z. I think this is. I'm not looking at you, but that's usually that's yeah. That's actually a compliment because you look young, yeah. But yeah, that's one of the most challenged. Like, once you hire them, you have to make sure they understand the company's mindset, ethics, what it takes to achieve the result, to bring money to the company. Because as founders, we remain the main source of electricity, sales-wise, and that's I think another subject that we can chain up to, like who brings business to the startups. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I want to echo on that because in terms of the mindset, my personal experience with working in Hong Kong is that it's not something that you can just teach on the job. And so how do you find people who align with your ideals, your mission, and want to work on the product itself and not just, clock in, clock out, 9 to 6, and get their insurance policies and whatnot. It's really difficult, I think.
Very difficult.
Especially in Asia, to find those alignment, especially in younger people. But I'm also curious to see what other people's experiences are with this. Do you find that there's a generational or cultural division, with people you work with or like in the hiring process? Maybe we can have a few founders here also share their experiences.
I mean,
Yeah?
yeah.
So, you typically, I think normally as a founder, we get to know within 2 weeks or month or 2 months time about the employee, whether he is that
Clicks or not.
material actually.
Yes.
Whether he's willing to go that extra mile, this one, or is just 9 to 7, I'm waiting for the 7 o'clock, pack my jobs, I'll go outside
100%.
actually. So I will get to know in the 1-2 months time period. And I follow this policy of hire fast, fire fast actually.
Hire fast,
And
fire fast.
Fire fast.
Fire fast.
So if I know that within 2 months it's not going to work, I'll typically, before the probation period ends, will fire the employee. But if we think the employee is really good enough, wants to go to that extra mile, yeah, we obviously put in more resources, make sure he's happy enough to continue the organization for a longer period of time.
That's extremely important. The company that I had 10 years ago, I was also a founder, and one of the biggest mistakes that I made was having staff that every month I was like, maybe next month they will start delivering, and always postponing firing them. And if you have a bad apple inside the company, right, someone that is an employee that is not in founder mode, that is just trying to get the benefits, trying to get the health insurance and not doing much, then this person is going to kind of contaminate the culture of the rest of the company. Because if you are a startup, you have 10, 20 people maximum, right? And it's important to, unfortunately, the reality is that if there is a bad apple, you need to fire fast.
We had a deadline and we need to ship our game fast for the Tokyo Game Show. So I said like next 2 months, it's all Saturdays working. Even Saturdays are working actually.
Yeah.
Just one employee was against that concept. He raised the voice in the meeting actually. Said, so, it's not possible for me. So, and that single person was responsible for everybody coming back and asking me later, sir, I will next week I'll take a leave. Saturday not possible, not possible. So, it can happen.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest mistakes that I've done while running Signature Network, which I managed to recover quite quickly, and it's not applicable to everybody here, so I'm just talking as far as I'm concerned, is to hire friends or family members. But the reason is because I was a bit too kind with them and a bit too generous, so they used to take advantage of that very quickly, like ask for more money or take things for granted, or maybe they will get a special treatment compared to others. So that had to be recovered, fixed pretty quickly, and put like a tougher distance with the team, so that you keep a healthy business running, because what counts at the end of the day is we provide excellence. We promote ourselves as having a premium service. So we don't usually promote our service through marketing. We hardly ever spend money on advertising, but because I operate a network business, happy clients bring happy clients. So it's all about referrals. So you better be very careful with the Google reviews, with the LinkedIn recommendations, because this is what brings money what brings leads and deals to the company.
Yeah, I really like that, Munir. So I'd like to share.
Do you agree, by the way?
Yeah, I do. So also let me share some of the mistakes. Also I want to open up the discussion between the quality and also the kindness, or motivation. That's something we've been talking about. So in my past, I hired some people, and I was also kind enough to kind of let the juniors or the new joiners to really observe how their performance really comes out. But hire slow and fire fast. So that's has to be handled with the balance, because I also sometimes of the period I was totally on the other side. I was kind of firing so many people and then being very harsh, like a devil. But at that time, the atmosphere within the team got even worse. Even for the people who have a very enthusiastic mindset and who has the skill set, they kind of found me, I'm like a dictator and the king. So you don't want to look like that point of view. So I think I found that it's really important to take the balance. Not like being acting like a dictator, but still like speaking like the vision and mission where this startup is trying to go. It's important for the founders to really speak up, and also hiring the good people with the skill is important. But more than the skill, I think the character, willingness to really echo the vision, so that they can run autonomously. I don't have to tell them, every single stuff. So that's about the, self-starter, right? So to keep that a feel going, not only the monetary incentives, but also the engagement within the team is very important. So I found, a lot of things handling those balance. Lastly, I think what it really worked for the management perspective, to not really me looking like devils and dictators. I think that it's very important to set the rules, verbalized, written rules. Once a performance is not really reaching to that point, or once we couldn't deliver the product, by that time, we will lose the finances. Also, that comes down to each of the employee might lose the job or something like that. I think that by speaking those things in upfront, and also in the visible places like in Notion or somewhere, it really clearly speaks. I'm not firing based on my emotion or whether I like that person or don't like that person. Let the employee to figure it out by themselves. What the standards really are. So
Yeah. Well, actually, I have a question. How many people have co-founders in the company? Are they solo founders? Okay, okay. Because that takes me to the second question, and we're talking about hiring, choosing the right partner. Yeah? Don't know if we can add a few points to that. But coming from Dubai and working with several free zones and startup ecosystems, we have unfortunately seen a lot of co-founders filing legal cases because one of the biggest mistakes is not to put on the contract the scope of works of the co-founders, because sometimes they are friends, they are former colleagues from the same university, you know, or childhood, they grew up together, so they rely on, I would say, spiritual trust rather than contracts. But as we also say in French, like, trust does not exclude written contracts, right? Because it secures what has been said and promised and committed. And sometimes we have co-founders like not being happy about not sharing the same, oh yeah, I'm doing everything in the company, I'm the one who brings the most amount of customers, you didn't do anything, you always go to the gym. I'm just giving clear examples because these are day-to-day lives, right? Realistic. So yeah, hire the right partner. It's not necessarily the best friends. It's not necessarily family members. It could be, but most of the cases that we have seen have ended up pretty badly. And unfortunately, sometimes it leads to the company's closure completely. Like multi-million-dollar like companies based in primary locations in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, or anywhere. And the main reason is the founders not being aligned, co-founders not being aligned, not having a legal contract, not being protected. So they end up, stealing the database or doing nasty stuff. And I think one of the reasons to avoid that is to have a clear contracts with every shareholders and even investors, because when it comes to hiring, you also speak about investors having the right partner. So which kind of partner do you need? Do you need a micromanager who's gonna call you every morning, have a cup of coffee? Where are we right now? Where are the results? Or are you looking for someone who is cool, funky, who understands your mindset and gives you some kind of freedom to operate? So, yeah. I mean,
You need all of those people.
definitely.
Depends what task it is. So you have to be very particular, hire the right person for the right job, get the right partner.
Absolutely.
They have to understand what your vision is. They have to see your vision. They have to be able, and you have to be able to articulate it because it changes. The vision is there, but the path varies. And something like COVID shows up and
Yeah,
everything changes.
absolutely. Can anyone in the audience share with us some bad decisions or bad experiences? Please.
You guys all have the same template of paperwork. Yeah, because you were mentioning about all this very important steps.
Please.
Following your description regarding those paperwork, if you guys have the same kind of template of the paperwork, you guys engage it with your business?
You mean the bylaws and stuff like that?
Yeah, so from the beginning when you're starting.
Well, we
Is
have
it like 50-50? Or it doesn't work?
No, not necessarily. Like every company has different templates. Like we call it scope of work. Sharing, co-founding scope of works. Sometimes it's 50-50, but sometimes it's 60-40, 30-70. It really depends on who does what.
When you starting this kind of, as you mentioned, you are hiring the partner. Yeah. So later on every level of your business existence, you have some type of paperwork. And it's if you guys following this, I need some specific type of structure to avoid any type of problems.
I think the structure of the legal documents can vary because it depends on the nature of the company, what stage it's at, and what those goals are and what potential conflict might arise. Because the reason for even setting up something like this is so that you can avoid future conflict. And I'm sure you can discuss a little bit more on that. We have one of our sponsors who's a lawyer.
Tandoori, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, he's a lawyer, so he's well placed. There you go.
I was being very quiet because I'm not sure I qualify as a founder. Maybe just to speak about two things. The two kinds of problems that I see most often crossing my desk is one, founders who are not as committed to the business, so
Yeah.
one founder leaves early. How do you deal with that? You deal with it with something that's called reverse vesting. So you put shares on the block, as it were, and you earn them by staying longer with the company. So if you leave early, you don't keep the same equity participation as when you start out. So if you start out as 50-50,
Yeah.
and which I don't recommend as a default, but for example purposes, if you start out as 50-50 and you say you're going to earn that 50% by staying with the business for 4 years, you leave after 1 year, well then you lose 75% of the share of the 50%. So that kind of a mechanism. You leave early, you don't hold the same shares. Most of the disputes that I see arising are people who haven't done that. So you've got a business that's beginning to gain traction, and one of the co-founders no longer actively involved holds too much equity.
Mm-hmm.
The second problem that you see happening very frequently and giving rise to litigation later on is not dealing with the IP. So making sure that the intellectual property of the business is transferred to the business. So you don't have a situation where you have a co-founder who writes a bit of code, disappears after 2 weeks, and then 2 years later surfaces out of nowhere and says, your business is successful because of the 2 weeks coding work that I did for you. There's a lot of litigation that happens exactly with those circumstances.
Exactly.
So dealing with IP and dealing with early departures of co-founders will deal with the two most significant founder risks.
Exactly.
I'd love to ask a follow-up question on this. So let's say you've done everything on the front end, but you have a partner that now has a disagreement of opinion, right? How can you create a legal framework or a structure to force buy out them at not what I'm going to use harsh terms, so please apologize, to not extort the other partner, right? Because when you get into partners that are breaking up, it's as bitter as a divorce. So how can you, on the front side, anticipate those potential divorces to protect them, right? How have you guys... that's a hyper-technical question, but like, I haven't had that happen to me yet, so I'd love to know what you guys have done that
Your
didn't
question
work.
totally makes sense. I'm just going to give you like a portion of answer if I can, and maybe the rest of the panelists can... Yes, please, go ahead.
You can answer first.
Please. So, as far as we're concerned, we have something called, so basically when someone joins the company as a partner and also puts money in the structure, we usually ask them to commit to a minimum of 2 years and not just to leave after 1 year and say, oh, I want my money back plus any profit. So we call it the bad leaver. A bad leaver usually gets penalized, in our case, by 25 to 30% of the value of the company. So just in order to avoid a big loss, a significant loss in the company.
So
if that makes sense for the lawyers.
So to answer your question specifically, this comes up a lot. The marriage analogy is the best analogy to use. If you decide what to do when you're having a divorce, don't expect anything good to happen.
Absolutely.
Expect the legal services over there to cost a lot. Good leaver, bad leaver, this is all too late. So you need to think about when you're all friends, when you're partners, and the future's looking good. That's when you sit down, and whatever you agree the worst case scenarios right there, right now, when we're friends. So Jeff and I, we both agree we're never going to break each other's hearts. So we say, but if this happens when we're friends, what would the situation in fairness to both of us be? Because at this point we're equal. Everything is fair. This is the natural position. At the beginning, when a handshake is enough, that's when you need the contract.
Absolutely.
Because trust me, at the end of the marriage, if you have a contract, one of you will walk away as friends with the other one. If you haven't got the contract, your gym session was, it's not relevant to this discussion. The fact that you don't attend or work until midnight is not relevant to, everything is an argument. If you have a contract and it says, you must stay for 4 years and your equity vests like this, that's the most important. The other thing is I find scope of work probably less important than like the IP. So who owns the company?
Mm-hmm.
Like one person leaves, one person says it's mine. It's, that sort of discussion, those things are important. And also, if you do X, what do you get for X, right? Because we'll sort it out later. Trust me, when you're thinking $1 million looks good, it's one thing. When you've got $100 million on the table, suddenly, oh, I didn't mean to give you 10% of that. I was thinking 1% of that, right? So those sorts of things need to be agreed in detail. It's actually the time to get the service of a lawyer is at the beginning, and there's no one template, by the way. Use your common sense, go through it. Once you've done it 2 or 3 times, once you've had one messy divorce in business, you will never make those mistakes again, and that's where you get HR professionals in that know what they're talking about, legal professionals. His time will be 1 or 2 hours in the beginning probably, because he'll say, these are the things you need to be careful about. At the end, it may be multiples of that, right? So that's the answer.
But usually the scope of work of different founders are defined in the terms of term sheets.
I don't think I asked my question well. I wasn't talking about 2 partners that are founding. I was talking about like free carry equity investors, right? So you've taken early stage money from someone up front. How do you get rid of that person? Because now they've started to disrupt normal flow of business. They started out as your friend, but now they've become a micromanager. That's a more refined version of that question.
Well, usually founders used to find an amicable solutions before it comes to litigation, fortunately. So I don't know, maybe some of you in the audience can share their experience, whoever had a bad experience with their co-founders, and what was the solution or what was the consequences? Anyone? Yes. Ben, please, can someone give a microphone to Ben? You're so far back, Ben. Come forward. I'm sure you have a great story to share. Come on. If you speak a bit louder, please. Yeah.
I'll try like that. So I think a lot of the things that
Closer to the mouth, please. Yeah.
I think that a lot of what's been discussed is chicken and egg, and I've seen situations where early on there was the gentleman that spoke earlier said it's good if it's good on a handshake, then it's good to put things in writing. And then people put things on paper napkins, and they held to that, and that's cool. But you know, if you got to a point where you took money from someone, then naturally there's some agreements to follow. So if you look at things like shareholder agreements or term sheet or whatever, then you have things like deadlocks or reserved matters that will usually anchor, how far would it go until it needs to go to like litigation, right? For the litigation lawyers here in the crowd, they can give you a lot of horror stories, front audience. I think I can give a few as well. But at the end, everyone can assume that, every agreement is built on good faith, and usually good faith what really dictates the way. But if you get to a point where money has been accepted and the terms there are technical terms, usually you just need to, deal with that. And if something goes really bad, you come and raise a flag and you're asking for a conversation. But typically, yeah, you have those parts in the agreement, like deadlocks or reserved matters that will help you in specific situations where you won't get screwed or less likely to get screwed. I hope that this helps, but at the end, it really goes there. We just had a situation a few months ago where we prepared the client for a raising round. And the last thing that we checked, unfortunately, was his cap table. And we saw that there's a co-founder listed there. And we never heard this name before. And that individual had 8% of the company. And when we saw 8%, we were quite shocked to see that so later on. So when I asked the founder about that, he told me, yeah, he came early on, he did some of the tech heavy lifting. Then he kind of told me that he doesn't want to have anything to do with the company and he has a full-time job. So I let him go and told him, but what about a signature somewhere saying that I forfeit my shares? He said, well, we didn't do that. But that was 4 years before, right? So when we had the conversation, fortunately there was a vesting schedule there saying that he actually only entitled to have just shy of 2%. And then we agreed, as you said, handshake style, to give him like £5,000 and let him go, which was a very insignificant comparing to the round. then it resolved well. But this guy could, do quite a lot of damage. So I guess to summarize, you have situations where you know that business is business, friendship is friendship. And as things carry on, you know that there are handshakes that are good enough for certain situations, but when 100 million is on the table, or you feel like this enterprise is going to be 100 million, then go sign some stuff, pay some money. I have a lot of founders early on that telling me, what, spending now money on lawyers? No, it's going to cost us like a buttload of money. But yeah, this money takes you a really, really long way if things go sideways. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Anyone else, please?
Yeah, actually, I have some of the pain that we are experiencing in our startup. There is one of the thing that since if after we are the company that start with 3 founders, right? But it's like in 3 founders we have the strengths in terms of the products, purely on the products and how do we make the traction, how do we make the business. But if we look in terms of the founders, we don't have the strength in terms of the marketing, right? So the pain point is that we know what we lack of, but on the opposite hand, we don't know how do we make this to be success. So in terms of the hiring, is there any the recommendation for this kind of the pain that I experiencing?
Thank you, Ukrik from Donut 3, from the Thai delegation who's attending the Game On right now. So I think right now I'd like to invite Ani Mohan from Snapit and Rumi Kono, who also are speakers at the panel downstairs to share a little bit. Sure.
You want to tag
Please
it?
join. Yes, so just putting you two on the spot right now.
You want to sit?
No.
You sure? No. Take. I've been sitting all day.
So the question was, they have 3 founders, co-founders, and they know that they're lacking in their team dynamic someone who heads up marketing. Would you hire another founder? Would you outsource this marketing to someone else? Would you do it yourself maybe? I think there are a lot of ways about it, but maybe you can share some of your experience as head of marketing as well and scaling a Japanese company.
So I guess, by the way, I'm Rumi from DMM Crypto, and we are doing the entertainment company. We are in an entertainment company like gaming, animation, comic. We are doing Web3 projects right now. And the answer for the question, I guess outsourcing is good. So, because if I'm not founder actually, but if I'm founder, it's better to have a professional from other companies and make work together. Sometimes, and we can get some knowledge from them. It might be good. Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty loaded question. So, I'm not a founder with Snapit, which is the Web3 blockchain game, but I am a co-founder for another company, which is a Web2. It's a sales startup ecosystem company, and I can't believe I'm about to say this in public, but I would not take another co-founder. We're 3 co-founders, and we have so many run-ins with each other. Just literally the last 2 weeks, I've been battling with my co-founders on certain, company decisions, direction, and obviously your co-founders, you're in it together, you all hold shares. So you are gonna make up ultimately, but it's just stressful. I had sleepless nights.
Conflict of power, right?
Yeah, conflict of power. And someone like me, I'm pretty positive like 98% of the time, but these are times when that 2% negative, negative loop of, your thought cycle kicks in and you're going to bed at night. Well, you're hardly able to get sleep, but you're going to bed at night. Worst case, thinking about all the worst case scenarios where, the other 2 are going to scheme against you, probably take your shares and run away or something, right? So I would say for any function, and obviously it depends on the size of the startup. If you're, well-funded, you're not burning cash and left with just a mere few months of runway, then I would suggest you to get outside help. There are a lot of good companies out there, and if you are, again, if you're thinking really long term and marketing is a very, very essential part of your business, maybe you're doing e-commerce or your consumer-facing product, then yeah, obviously hiring a chief marketer is a very important decision. But founder that's a totally different question. If it were me, I would outright not take in any founders, and if anyone is planning on starting a new business, I would highly suggest you to try to be a sole founder, if not keep it as minimal as possible.
Well,
yeah.
please go ahead.
No, just talking about that. I think recently we saw the first unicorn, the first $1 billion company with one person, one founder alone, right? And now with the gig economy, with outsourcing, with AI, we will see more and more companies that is one founder, solopreneur, and reaching $1 billion valuation, right?
Well, actually, please.
Just tagging along, I would like to explore that questions because I'm a solo founder. So
same here.
Yeah. So it's great to be a solo because I have 100% of decision-making power. But sometimes I feel a little bit of a burden because I feel like I'm running in sole responsibility for entire project and the result as well. So if I could find a great co-founder who feels and share the same passion and responsibility, I would like to find. So the next question for me is how did you guys meet the co-founders, and also how do you delegate any green flags, red flags, from the beginning or maybe along the way, when you started seeing this is the red flags, I might want to consider breaking up. So
well, first of all, in our company we get a lot of requests from startups because we help startups hire. And some of the founders, they say, okay, we want, for example, to hire a CMO, but we don't really have the budgets to pay him. So what they suggest is we're not going to give him a salary, we're going to give him shares of the company. Be very careful with that. Be very careful. Rather give a moderate salary rather than think about it, because it's a huge decision to put on the table. It's quite risky. Yes, please.
What you described is not a founder. What you're talking about are founders that started the business. If you're bringing people as a founder, I'm going to bring people on that take care of problems that I can't take care of. Yeah. So I can give them a piece of the action without making them a founder. My founders, they're baked in at the start. After that, they're hired help.
Yeah, so I think this discussion needs a few terms really defined. So what constitutes as a founding team, where it could be the first people who start the company, but it could also be people who have had significant impact in the business throughout, because the lifetime depends, of course, of a startup, but as you have more and more recent hires, maybe you want to make them a co-founder as well if it's impactful to your business. I do have a co-founder, and I'm very lucky to have found someone who balances me really well, because I know what skill sets that I can bring onto the table, but I also know what I'm lacking in. I don't really like talking to people, for example, and he's a social butterfly, right? So you have to find the balance and understand yourself as a founder and what other people can bring to the table, and sharing that core value and vision is also super important, because even when your opinions might diverge, what brings you all back together is why you're building the company together. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something to reflect on when you're looking for that partner.
All right. I want to. You guys have great points, so I just want to put things together from my experience. If you want to be a sole founder versus having co-founders, it's really dependent on the nature of the business. Okay? If you're a lawyer, you don't need a co-founder. Unless you want to be a tech law firm, then you want to be a tech person, unless you're the tech person also, and a good lawyer, and a social butterfly, then you don't need co-founders. And also depends if you want to do a $100,000 company or you want to do a $1 billion company. And then bringing co-founders, there are two levels. First is because you guys have great ideas, you guys start together and you guys have all the passion, the heat, let's build something together. The other ones is called strategic co-founders. You're bringing people strategically to help you in two aspects. Funding, network, right? That's the same thing. They have the network, the funding, the money, they bring in the people and stuff like that. And they just want the name. I want to be a co-founder and I'll bring you investors. There are people like that and it's happening in the world. The other one is technical skill sets. Not just technology skill set, but technical skill set. Like if you're building a law tech firm and you're not a lawyer and you're a tech person, you're bringing in a very high powerful lawyer because he has all the technical knowledge of all the laws and regulations. That's a technical skill sets. If you are a lawyer, I'm just using a lawyer, I don't know why, or like you're a retailer, right? And then you have a great, and you understand the whole retail world, how the whole supplies, the chain, demand, inventory is being built, but you don't have a technical, a technology background to build the technical platform to how to say, execute your business idea, then you bring in a co-founder to build it because no one's gonna work for you for a lot of money when they can add that much value. You have to use co-founders role strategically to buy people's passion and their efforts, and most importantly, work for you for free in the beginning. Okay, I think Olivia, like she's my co-founder for a stealth mode company called Atma, which I present today. It's a parent company of All Star Women DAO. Everybody knows about All Star Women DAO. No one knows about Atma. She not only offers my spirits, ideas and stuff, but I also want to buy her in to work for me for free while we're building this company for the past 2 years. Okay, use it strategically, all right? Think carefully. Co-founder is a very powerful chip. I have a whole team of over 10 people working for me for free for the past 2.5 years, for free. I have an office in Taiwan, office in Hong Kong, office in Singapore, and these people are not peanuts. These people are MDs, business owners themselves, okay, directors of powerful big MNCs. Why? Because they're part of the founding team. They're not even co-founder, founding team. Use it strategically.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What you said makes perfectly. Yeah, sure. Sure. I just had a point, and then we go to the Q&A session. So your point was totally right, and I think it has to be a combination of hard skills, like technical skills, but also soft skills, because we've seen cases where you hire the right co-founder, but the personality just doesn't click with the other founders. There's ego. The personality doesn't match. We're not sharing the same ethics. So it has to be a combination of hard and soft skills. As far as I'm concerned.
I mean, one of the biggest questions that people ask is, why you? Why are you building
Yeah.
the company? Why are you building this team and product? You have to be able to answer that if you're a co-founder, because there's so many people who are qualified technically on that job
Absolutely.
or role, but they might not care about the problem that you're solving. So yeah, I think this is something that you have to keep reminding yourself, why are you the person building this company?
Just for timekeeping, we have another 15 minutes, and then we're going to bring in a co-founder who can tell you the success of Sandbox, but also along the way, all the pain he had experienced. So let's, 15 minutes, would love to hear more from folks, especially I saw the delegations from founders and builders from China, and I would love to get some views from, across the border. So we had a cross-border kind of a panel, and earlier, I'm sure another founder mode is different when you're in China. So anyone in a China builder from China? Anyone? Okay, none. Interesting. So we need to. Okay, William. Oh, okay. So next, I'm gonna. Okay, so next, not from China, but however from Canada, Switzerland, and from Europe, and then now, a digital nomad from Thailand. So I want to introduce William, and he is a co-founder of Ethical AI. We just finished the panel, as I mentioned earlier. That's ethics, application of AI and ethics is the elephant in the room. It applies to everything. And earlier we talked with a lot of focus on minors and everything. So we want to ask you, I'm going to do a little interview and kind of conversation. As a founder, what was the reason brought you from Canada and then to Asia in some ways?
Thank you, Joe, for the introduction. I'm William, co-founder of Ethical AI. I really like the dynamic landscape of Asia. I think it's really moving faster. The technology is moving faster. The regulators are moving faster. That's what got me into Asia a lot. Yeah.
So short answer. So I'm gonna focus you on. So we just talked about co-founders, the nightmares and the actual advantages. Like Kina shared 10 co-founders you had. So what's the worst co-founders you had? You're a serial entrepreneur. So put you on the spot. What was the worst co-founder you had?
I guess the worst co-founder I had, it might be 10 years ago. Someone that was just talking and not really doing the things on the computer and just try to always hire people for everything. So I think when you're a founder, you gotta take responsibility. Go on your Google Meet, go on your computer, create the documents, and you can't hire someone for everything.
So it's like an interview process to interview your co-founder. So the next question's the difference between co-founder. Don't want to be, kind of profiling, but what's the difference between in North America, in Europe, and now in Asia? Do you see, can you quick answers, any difference?
You're giving me a very hard one. But I think the idea of the knowledge sharing is more, I feel from my perspective, the knowledge sharing that I've lived in Asia is more open and sharing than in the United States, which is more inward and more kind of really focused on closed source and protection of the proprietary, even on the level of investors. While I've lived a better experience of Asian developers that will share a lot of code freely and be less paranoid of signing papers and NDAs and all that. But that's just from my experience. It's not representative of the whole spectrum. Yeah.
I see our lawyer, Patrick, cringe right there. Not no NDA, no nothing. So I'm going to actually point to Jeff real quick and put you on the spot. And you were managing multi-million-dollar grants at one point until fairly recently. So founders pester you and beg you, probably stalk you all the time for funding. So tell us your best experience and the worst experience.
Oh, wow, I just put on the spot. Maybe I preface first, I was a builder first. Had a couple of startups, went through the whole process. In fact, was funded by a protocol as well. And so it gave me a different insight when I got to the job of actually helping people fund their new startups with protocol money. So I'm telling you this because I'm buying time. Actually, one of the best experiences was working with an enterprise, because most of the founders or the founding team, they have a 9-to-5 job, right? They have different KPIs that they have to focus on, and from a risk perspective, they're not incentivized to take any risk. So you almost have to teach them to take risk. And then also tell them that there's a way out of this. So you build it up to a certain point, and you have to figure out how to spin it out. So I feel like working with enterprises was always a very interesting part of it. You almost have to convince them to leave their job because it's so comfortable. Usually the people who are wanting to build Web3 use cases from an enterprise perspective, they're on director level or above. They're not used to doing any work and always having the ideas. So when they have to get in a situation where they have to build something themselves, not hire a consulting company to do it, not getting free money to cover some aspect and budget from a 12-month cycle, it's very, very hard. But these people, if you can actually figure out how to work with them, they actually become very good allies when it comes to working with real startups, because they value the fact that they can't do this themselves. And so this is where you get really good co-founders from that perspective. It's all about incentivization and then just understanding what's on the other side of the game. So I would say that just in general, right? I don't want to name any specific companies or anything like that, But in general, that's what I expect. And also, non-financial services individuals are actually easier to be co-founders than specifically finance individuals.
You're very PC, politically correct. All right. So I think that's. I'll yield the time back to Henry. So what's the next topic, or if there is any? Otherwise, we got 10 more minutes. So let's get the floor working.
Yeah, I think we haven't touched yet the fundraising part much. Maybe we could also talk a little bit from the investing perspective, from the VC perspective. You're just sharing from the grants perspective, the founder part, right? And if you are investing, you want the maximum upside. So usually, I feel that typically part of the VCs want to invest in founders that are not risk averse, right? You want to invest in the next Elon Musk, not someone that is like super conservative or risk averse. Like, do you guys have anything to share regarding like how much risk averse or conservative or embracing risk you should be as a founder?
I mean, so over the last few months, I've seen a lot of startups fundraising. I've spoken to a lot of investors, and I think it really, really depends because each investor has their own style, what they're looking for, metrics, depends on the fund size, and I think it also depends on where that fund is at. Like if they've had successful exits before, they can see that there is a golden ticket out. But for a lot of people who are just starting out or family offices who are trying to transition into being a GP, for example, people have no idea what that exit looks like, especially in Hong Kong, in Asia, because there aren't that many successful cases. And so we still have to, look to Silicon Valley to see, the most successful startups are coming out from there. But I know from personal experience that there are so many awesome projects that are coming out of this jurisdiction, and yet it's really a matching problem. It's not a supply or demand problem. It's just the fact that, the right investors aren't matched to the right startups. And so much of investing in Asia in particular is based on your reputation, your personal network, and because we have so many countries around this region, language barriers and who you're in touch with, all of these things are variables that you need to control in this ecosystem. And so I think, obviously it's about telling your story, telling why you're the right person to solve this, having the numbers to back it up. But yeah, it is also a game of luck right now. The markets are contracting and things are a bit slow, but press on, everyone, game on. And yeah, I think just like hold on to what you're building, because I'm sure there will be people out there who could help you out.
So one more sharing, and then we will be moving to our next segment with the guests to talk about it. Maybe a quick keywords. What is the most important things in fundraising process? For example, your projection or valuation, whatever. So what's the most important things in fundraising?
Yeah, for me, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I think speaking like who you are and the vision, and also what the product is really solving the problems.
Great.
Storytelling.
Passion and personality.
Okay, very good.
Practicality.
Practicality, all right.
Rational number. Rational number.
Okay.
The ask.
Rational number.
Yeah.
Reasonable valuation.
Singularity.
Okay, all right. The next, I think let's talk about something we cannot ignore is regulation. I know that's not the most popular topics, but in the regulation, in the regulatory world, like in the thing, how important in the scale of 1 to 10, how important is the regulation in your line?
11.
12.
5.
Ten.
6 or 7.
6 or 7?
7.
Maybe a 3.
3. Okay. Well, I don't know. There is a math genius here. I think we are even about a 6 or 7 right now. But that is really, really important because overall the regulative framework kind of define what we can do in between crypto and fiat, and whether you're going to get a paycheck or not, right? So this is really important. With that, I think Bowie, we ready. Can we bring on, put on a new screen on that? And so next, we're going to hear from Sebastian, founder of Sandbox, and also we want to ask some questions and what we can do. Successful founders, and the most important thing is they can tell difficult things. We know you're successful. You know, what is the most difficult? What's the tipping point that make it successful? There were times that you almost didn't make it, and what was that? And so those are things I would like to ask, and I would like to learn from our next speakers. So if I can ask the facilitator to come up and hand your mic to the others, and we can ask Sebastian's and.
No worries, I can entertain everybody. I'm a great singer. As a matter of fact, I did sing last year. Yes. So, but anyone know my name? Bowie? Yes. I have a unique name because my Chinese name and my English name is the same. And please, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, give us the respect to the speakers, and if you like to talk, you can go to the lobby downstairs. Or please have a seat and listen to our awesome session. This is a pop-up session. I wasn't on the list to speak, but I would love to speak with Sébastien Bourget. Merci beaucoup and bienvenue à Hong Kong.
Thank you, Bowie.
So, I mean, I know Sab for many years. I know him for a long time. But for those who don't know about him, please, Sebastian, introduce yourself.
Hey, everyone. Who isn't familiar with Sandbox in the audience? All right. Okay. Familiar, not isn't. Who knows Sandbox? All right, great. Well,
Awesome. I love
super
seeing
popular
that.
in Hong Kong. Okay, great. So, well, I'm the co-founder and the COO at the Sandbox. Sandbox, it's a decentralized virtual world. Anyone can become a creator, make 3D content, full games, full experiences, and truly own them and monetize them thanks to use of blockchain technology. We've grown to 6 million users now, so one of the largest projects that brings users to Web3. We have over 400 major brands and partners around the world. And right now, something quite exciting ongoing that I'm sure we'll talk about with the Alpha Season 4. I'm also president of the Blockchain Game Alliance. It's a non-profit organization that's educating about
It's a non-profit organization, right?
Basically, anyone can become a member, and we help the members to showcase what they are building in Web3
I know the
gaming.
membership fee are quite cheap to become a member for the association, right?
That's right. Like it starts at 500 euros a year for a company, 100 euros a year for an individual, and we give you like free booths around the world at many conferences, networking event, pitching event to VC and so on. So really trying to deliver value again to grow the ecosystem, to educate about what blockchain can bring within the game industry.
Yeah, I know you have a representative in Hong Kong also.
We do,
Yeah.
like we are present around the world,
Yes.
and we keep growing.
Yeah, important. Well, thank you for a quick introduction. Sandbox, I personally know a lot because I do have a special relationship with Sandbox. So to give a full declaration, I am a indirect investor of the Sandbox through the VC fund, through Global Ventures, and we are the early backer of Sandbox. Before anybody knew about who they were, we were already on the cap table. And very happy and excited to see many, I guess, success partnership that you have established. Tell us a little bit on the Alpha Season 4. I know I heard a great success. Please share.
All right, so let's jump straight. So one of the strengths of Sandbox has been indeed to bring brands together, and through those brands, partnership, and their favorite, the popular characters, onboard the fans. Then not only we bring brands to own land and create experiences, but we gather them around events. And like mentioned, Alpha Season 4 indicates that it's already the fourth iteration or the fourth year that we are launching those big seasons. Maybe a quick poll around, like who played any Alpha Season in Sandbox? All right, so that's where we have to progress. Like people are aware about Sandbox, but not enough people are playing Sandbox yet. And
Do you still get paid to earn?
yeah, well, I'm going to that point, but just season 4 is essentially the largest event of the year. It brings 100 experiences, 40 major brands. So think like Attack on Titan, Terminator, Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay, Care Bears, Smurf, Rabbids, Love Island.
Rabbit is
Yes,
one
sir.
of my favorite characters.
All those different contents all together for 10 weeks, and you have like 100 experience, 40 with brands, 60 from best content made by creators and the community, and a prize pool indeed of 2.5 million US dollar in Sand token, distributed to people who participate. It's free to enter, anyone can play. You get NFTs right from the start, a free helmet, free equipment, and so on. So we onboard massively people to get content, get rewards. And then as you complete those quests, as you explore the different content, you earn sand progressively, and you can earn even more if you get a battle pass, an alpha pass, and you climb up the battle pass. In 2 weeks, we just passed the 220,000 unique players, which is also, by any Web3 comparable metric, a very high number of players, which means, like, again, like, we're able to onboard people to play, like, play to earn. I could say it's a really interesting paradigm, but it comes with real content, fun games, top brands involved. So this is an elevated version. And I think it's really fun for you to go check it out, because if you compare with what Sandbox was, I would say 2 years ago, it was pretty boring, Sandbox back then, like probably too early. I would say the product wasn't really ready for prime time. Not a lot of diverse gameplay, really. It was just like you come and you collect, you talk to character, and that's it. No multiplayer and so on. So Sandbox has evolved a lot. Now, like, you just install in 10 seconds, you're into an experience. You can play with others. There's many multiplayer games, different gameplay. So, like, well, we really focused on driving more fun, and all those feedback that came from all around the world, from existing players, existing creators, and in general, like the feedback that people say, like, Web3 is not fun to play, to address that, like, deep down.
Well, I have seen the success story of Sandbox, having, tons of partnership. Especially, I think I'm from Hong Kong. I'm a Hong Konger. It played a very special position in my heart. Seeing all these corporate, the big companies, HSBC, DBS, SC Ventures, all these big banks actually joining the Sandbox and have partnership with you guys, bought their land and develop a lots of different program in there. It's amazing to see. Personally, I'm very excited. I'm very happy to see. The main purpose of this session is called Founder Mode. It's all about having founders to do sharing session to talk about the ups and downs, the mistakes that you made, the fuck up, the good stuff, right? So, I mean, I see all the glamorous successful story of Sandbox, but what problems, obstacle, what fuck up did you face before that you can share with us as a founder for Sandbox?
Okay, there's many things we can share, but let's start with what you were saying. Like, okay, like, great, we had HSBC, DBS, a bank, a lot of those corporate world interested in the metaverse and in Sandbox back in 2021, 22, and maybe 2023. And I remember I came to FinTech Week right a year ago, and I saw Sandbox experiences across those booths. It was maybe good to onboard the corporate world to discover, but it was not like long lasted. Like, those are not the typical companies that have experience into like running fun game, running entertainment. And so they experimented, they launched something, but they didn't support a strategy afterward to keep updating and drive their audience, their users. So they were really expecting Sandbox to magically bring people to the land of HSBC or the land of some banks, and like it would certainly turn out into like a massive destination. And I think that's a good takeaway for us. Like, we've been refocusing a lot more around like the entertainment companies, the IPs, the characters that people love, and like people who already know and understand that, like, to bring an audience to Web3, you also have to bring your own audience and educate them about what the benefit for them to be a fan, to own, to receive digital assets, to receive reward as they come, play, and engage. And we see that even though they are big names, like capture some attention, the brands and the partners that really last long, as like we were talking about Rabbids, Care Bear, Smurf, all the different entertainment IPs. And that's what you find again in season 4. And that's also something that we've been creating repeated success with those brands that not only acquire the land, but also launch an avatar collection. And those avatars usually comes in 1,000 to 2,000 unique characters that you use. They are all NFT, and they sold well, or they even sold out for many of those collections. They came with launching experiences. They came with onboarding their fans to become creator and make their own game and be featured on the land. So a deeper strategy that takes into account as well, like a strong engagement. We've seen few things. I think like everyone who's building in Web3 had a tough year this year and probably last year. Like lack of funding, lack of interest, the crypto currencies going down, affecting their own capacity
Funding
to keep
and crypto winter.
Exactly. So how do you keep maneuvering, building a project, and eventually growing in those tough conditions? A lot of founders went into like, where do we capture attention? Where do we recreate those hype moments? For example, should we launch a meme coin? Should we do this TG event, launch event, work with all those fabulous KOLs that magically will bring millions of audience to us in exchange of a high amount of token? Should we launch our Telegram mini game or mini app because like that's where the audience are now? And I would say like be very careful, because those are not strategies. This is not the product strategy you're aiming for. Those are just certain tools. There's some hype and you want maybe to capture and be able to capture on a short period of time that hype. And so we decided to not just try to follow the latest trends, but just to stay committed and to emphasize and focus on what we were doing best already. And what we are doing best at Sandbox is like bring the brand, launch content with them, sell lands. We are the #1 virtual real estate platform where we keep selling out neighborhood on our map by bringing top content, top brands. Like latest one was Attack on Titan. It's sold out. We're introducing King Kong this week, so it's a premiere. It's not yet announced. It's probably be live tomorrow. And Thursday we'll start the land sale. We'll have another major big brands before the end of the year and so on. The Sand token as well, like it's been, I think like Sand is now like a top 5 gaming token, is a top 100 cryptocurrency. It really expanded beyond even the Sandbox platform. Like anyone who interested to have a stake in metaverse or instead in gaming usually considers Sand as a valuable but long-term, not looking for a short-term return investment. And that's, I think that's a strategy to get exposure to our success and everything we've delivered. And the creators, like above anything else, if you have to focus on one audience, the engaged one is the creators. Creators are going to be the one who are the most dedicated, who are the one who like pour their passion, their energy to build content. They are not necessarily here only for the incentive of money or financial success. Of course, it's an important part, and that's what the technology here brings. But they have this passion, this authentic love for the product and the vision. And they were the one that support Sandbox from day one, back in 2019, where you invested in Sandbox. We had the creators even before we had the token, the NFT. So again, focusing on where we are best, deliver the satisfaction, keep building the product, and that allows us today, I think, to say like, okay, we're back in a way, like there's traction around Alpha Season 4, there's adoption of the Game Maker tool. We have, this year we launched 2 builder challenges with a prize pool of up to 3 million sand each. And we are the first creators that earn 6-figure, 400,000 sand by being on one of the top builder. And it's small indie studio, so It's roughly 250,000 US dollars. That's a significant amount of money, much more that actually many Web2 game studio would do if they launch mobile game and so on. And we have a solid platform where we keep improving our technologies, the accessibility, the fun, the loading time, sorry, all the different social features, the way you express your character, the rules of multiplayer, core things that relates to like create a great and fun experience rather than always chase the next trend of hype. I hope that I can keep saying that for many years that has been a good choice for us, but so far it seems to be.
You still did not share the obstacle, the challenge, the difficulty that you face throughout the journey, and how did you overcome those fucked up?
Well, you always face different challenges, like from like the hundred of investors that will say no to you when you pitch them, that don't believe that you can build it or achieve it. From even media and press, they don't care about metaverse. It's all about AI. So like, just trying to prove them like we're here, we're building, we're delivering, and like it's not because you don't talk or look at it that it's not happening. Overall, like it's a challenge. And then fucked up. We had very good learning from previous seasons in Sandbox, and like one event called Bonkers. We created a competitive event which was time-based, and that generated a massive amount of frustration from the community. Like we found that as soon as you introduce skill-based gaming, but you're not ready behind to have the technology that protects against cheating and ensure that every score that players will have is actually fair and proven, well, like it will create a lot of like frustration from real players and so on. And we heavily underestimated like the amount of technology and customer support and the frustration it will generate when people were fighting for the 1 cent or 1 millicent of seconds on ranking, and all the strategies that people use as well through bots, through like hacking, I would say, trying to push their score up there. So the learning was like, let's engage player in a way like they don't feel that like only one person in the world can win, and if that person is actually not a real player, like it's very detrimental to building up a community and so on. Then I guess like it's a decentralized world. You cannot control every aspect of it. Things can go wrong. I tend to try to assume publicly when we make mistakes and so on, but I cannot always address everything in a nutshell and like, wow, let me solve it, and by next day it's solved. Sometimes it takes commitment and building and so on. And some of your audience, they will not have the patience, or they will find like repeated mistake is enough, and enough is enough. So I would say yes, unfortunately. There's people that might have been displeased by some decision at Sandbox, that might have been displeased by like the speed at which we ship product and game. And believe me, I do believe we ship rather fast, but in this technology world with AI now, like everyone is aiming to have like quality product shipped in a week, in a month, instead of like the months to the years it actually takes. So you have to balance the expectation.
I have another question. You have a JV with Barrett's, what's the name?
Barrett Box in
Barrett
India,
Box,
right?
It's a JV. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
So, like one of the success strategy of Sandbox as well has been our international global expansion. 40% of the user base of Sandbox is in Asia, and it really it grew because we have like very passionate team on the ground, small team that been building the community, that brought the partners, that elevated creator, and even had success in strategy we didn't think about, like education. Education in Hong Kong is massive, and those teams, they help to put Sandbox on the map in Hong Kong, in Korea, in Japan, in Thailand, in Singapore, in Philippines, in Vietnam, in Turkey, and now in Saudi Arabia as well, and India. And so we've been very open to explore those new territories. We thought like Well, if there's an early interest, if one person of a very small core team can grow Sandbox, bring some brands, bring some creator, or bring some players, either of the three, usually two of the three is like really where we say, okay, let's invest on this market, let's hire and let's deploy more. And India proved that. So like we've put a team called Bharat Box, but India by itself is a very specific market. Like I believe most of the world is quite westernized. There's probably very few markets where like you don't have yet the Apple, the Netflix, and all the Western platform, but they were able to keep a kind of like gauging of the content and IPs and brand and the culture, and you only access if you have established a local presence and you work with the local actors, which are not the same as the Western one. And those two or three markets include China, India, and maybe a little bit Japan as well, which have this strong cultural resistance.
Speaking about India, I'm personally very excited. You know where my husband's from?
Well,
He's from there, right?
Yes.
So, and recently we just got into a cap table of an Indian gaming studio, Yash. He just did a
congrats.
solo presentation. Join
Great.
us. Can you share with him a microphone? And I think there's a lot of synergy between the gaming studio because, you know, China, we have a very famous game, the Wukong, Black Myth.
Yes.
They are
First
building
PS5 game.
a
that-
mini version of the Indian gods, Hinduism. Maybe
mid-core.
you tell a little bit more about it, Yash.
So we are building a mid-core game right now. Having my co-founders having experience of 10 years building hyper-casual games, I thought this is the right time to actually build a mid-core or a AA game actually in the Web 2 space. And we are building an IP called Ailavat, Battle Arenas. And in terms of games, pretty much the genres have been explored, but in terms of storytelling, the Indian lore is still unexplored actually. We can just point out to one or two games in the market, nothing more actually. So we thought in terms of storytelling, that's a huge space, untapped market for stories, for characters, for heroes. And so we are building this for the last 2 years. We just launched a demo.
Actually, it's something very relevant. So some of the first partners that we have in India include Ungama, which is like around music and movie entertainment, include Eros now, that's also like building this huge metaverse virtual world featuring like Indian legend and mythology as well. And we want to change a bit the perception of India. Like India has put itself on the radar as like the largest talent pool for tech. And in India, like you have 3 ways to succeed if you're like from a family and education. It's like you become a doctor, you become a lawyer, you become like an engineer. Exactly, those 3 areas. And if you're a creative, unfortunately, like what kind of job is that? You will go nowhere there. So we kind of try to show like there is a lot of creativity and talent from the perspective of like artists and game makers in India, that the culture is strong enough that the market, even PC gaming markets in a 1 billion plus country with 10% of population, 100 million is as large, it's bigger than France, it's bigger than certain markets, potentially including US if you look at PC gamers. And those are users, like the middle class has been rising a lot. So actually we introduced Avatar collection, one of them recently called Jab We Met, based on like a very popular Indian movie, and it sold out with 2,000 avatars with a 50-cent price point, which is still $20, which is like a significant amount of money if you think to average purchase power in India. So we are really proud to show like we can put India and Indian culture on the map. Like we can bring talent and allow them to be first-time creator. We have the highest number of creators using GameMaker from India as well. And we are building chapters in all the different main cities in partnership with CoinDCX, the largest exchange, to educate about Web3 and hopefully expand that reservoir of talent. So we change the perspective from this is not only a tech talent pool, but also a creative talent pool.
I think, as you pointed out, back in 2008, I was a professional gamer. I was earning quite a bit amount of money back in 2008 just from a game called Ragnarok. But then that was not considered professional at all actually. So later on I became a chartered CPA in terms of this one, and after all these years I get to again go back into gaming and actually build a studio out of it actually. So the change of mindset, considering a professions when now the doctors or engineers or the lawyers, all these professions got exhausted. People are, I think once the industries get saturated, even parents or others start thinking that, we have to start exploring to other industries. And also the income strata, when the more middle class start jumping into other strata, people have more disposable incomes, and then people will think about, okay, I can take that risk of going into a completely different industry and spend money also. The disposable income increases, the more luxury items you purchase. So I think we are in that state of place. The next 5-10 years is going to be a very global, good opportunity for lots of game developers and everything to explore that market section.
I'm excited, listening to all these. And both just two projects, right? I already see the synergy because you're in Web 2. There's a lot of Web 3 potential for your game. And the partnership, right? Moving forward, Seb, what are the plans with Sandbox, and what are you trying to do in the next 6 months or 12 months per se?
So the first thing is just do better, keep doing better what you're already doing and already have formed a form of success or validation. You don't need to be groundbreaking major technology shift every year. Major technology paradigm shift happen every 10 years, and the rest is just iteration until you find the right success. So we're going to continue building the game maker and the creation tool, improving them largely so we have diverse content, shipping for the creators. We're improving the live ops, so this season 4 has proven us that we can onboard hundreds of thousands of players and we have the right mechanics. Once it ends after 10 weeks, around mid-December, we want to keep engaging all those users we brought on in January, in February, and so on next year through live ops. We have, of course, new brands partnership in the pipeline, some I'm very excited about. And we are interested in exploring other platforms, and this is something we launched last August called the Voxel Games program. Basically, the idea of the metaverse is you, as a user, you can take your avatar, your digital identity, or your digital asset and use them across any games or platform. Sandbox has been mostly one platform with a no-code game maker. We started developing games, co-producing games with third-party studio, professional studios who are building game on Unity, on Unreal, for mobile, for Epic Store, and so on. And publish those games which will have the voxel aesthetic that will connect with a wallet, so you can use your Sand token, you can use your avatar NFT, your lands, but they will also have free-to-play monetization, and you will be able to play them as a regular game without any blockchain, crypto, and so on.
That's
on those stores.
Good business model right there. So keep that in mind, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we also do UGC content ourselves, but in UGC, basically, user-generated content on Roblox, Minecraft, and also Fortnite, actually. But yeah, these are even to get other developers, creators to actually explore those areas as well. It's a big challenge and task ahead.
Yes, because one thing in Web3, we all the promise of the technology is interoperability. Basically, your content can be played across game. But who actually has been really involved into building content with interoperability in mind? Very few. It's still something that's left on the table, both for user acquisition, those strategies. So I bring the audience from other communities, offering them utility and benefit for the asset they own into my own app or game. We've done that before. As you know, we've created over 50 interoperable avatar collection that can be played from the Bored Ape, the Cool Cat, the CloneX, and so on. And the next phase is just let's build games where your asset, your content on Sandbox can be used there. So you don't, even if you never heard about Sandbox, you just discover that game. You like it because it's a fun, proven mechanic. There's no Web3 yet involved. You can still earn some sand. You can still use your NFT and be onboarded and use them across.
Cool.
So that's where we're going.
Yash, I personally am very happy. Congratulations for your latest funding round.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of me and my husband, being on your cap table.
You're most welcome.
As part of this funding round. What are your plans in the future, next 6 to 12 months?
I think for now it's building the community, and because we are building community, we are actually using an organic technique. Instead of paid promotions, we are actually using Fortnite and other UGC, this one, building games, building our game on importing our, because Fortnite is actually huge in US and everything. So we are building our environments into Fortnite. And actually from there we are driving user force into our game, actually creating interest for our game. And so for next focus 6 months is to get our alpha launch, early access launch by April 25, and then go for a season, beta launch, open beta season by end of December.
I look forward to alpha. Before we wrap up and close, Seb, thank you for joining. Specifically to my Game On in person, I'm very happy.
Of course.
And you are here until Tuesday next week. Am I correct?
That's right, yes.
So what are your plans? What are you looking for?
So we're here in Hong Kong. You know, Hong Kong is like really like the place where Sandbox was founded, where Sandbox is actually incorporated, and where we have one of the largest communities. Like we're going to run several events. One is dedicated to like our top landowners and VIP and sandholders. We're inviting them to
Am
a
I
VIP
invited?
dinner. Of course you are. You're definitely a big sandholder, I know, right? And we'll have also an event with a woman in Web3 Hong Kong chapter as well to support like bringing new talent and more inclusivity. We'll have an event, a meetup on the 25th where we'll be live streaming and inviting people to learn some of like the recent updates and success of Sandbox and the Alpha Season 4. So you get actually a very premier privileged information on this fireside chat. And we'll have also, we're sponsoring the Christie's Art and Tech Summit, which is happening on the 29th, as also like showing how the metaverse and how Sandbox is bridging toward art, culture, and explaining about the importance of digital art as well, because at the end of the day, our company mission is to empower anyone to become a creator and to change the perspective of the world around like what is digital art, what are NFT, how they are used, valuable, and what they mean afterwards. And of course, in the meantime, happy to spend more time with the community to answer any of your questions, to
Nice.
have
And
conversation
Eric and
like
Bruce,
this.
where are you? Eric Wong, Bruce, where are they?
And we
yes,
have
they're in the back.
at the
So
back,
they are part
our
of the
team,
Hong Kong
yes.
Sandbox team. If you want to get in touch with Sab, talk to Eric and Bruce in the back. And I guess that's the end of our chat. And thank you so much, Maxi beaucoup, for the sharing. Thank you, Yash.
Thank you,
And I guess
Thank
this
you.
is
Merci
our
beaucoup.
networking.
Thank you,
This is
Yash.
the most important part, is to network. Get to know each other. It's all about relationship, right? You do not want to, mess with an investor. You want to stay close with, different companies, different founders, and learn and network, right? So we have beers, we have wine, we have soda, we have pizza for everybody. So I hope you all enjoy. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bowery.
Joe, is Joe here? Joe? From the phone, okay. Then please enjoy all the F&B. Carrie, you have something to say?
Big thanks to Bowie and Sebastian and everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very,
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.